Folks, welcome to another edition in Real Estate Experts. As always, I'm your host, Glenn Twiddle, bringing you leading experts from around the country and around the world to help you transact a property, tread that minefield, get top dollar for your property, build wealth through property, whatever it is. If it's in the property or the business industry, we've got you covered. And I tell you today, I am stoked to be bringing you two of the most experts real estate experts has ever brought you. These guys' combined experience totals decades of training, of implementation, and of really building wealth through people's properties in a market that has been so turbulent. These guys are absolute shining lights. Authors, negotiators, hired guns, valuation specialists, qualified valuers, instructors. They teach others. It's unbelievable, these guys' knowledge base. And I'm talking about none other than from Scope Property, Troy Chaplin and Brendan Coonan. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out today.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks, mate.
All right, cool. So guys, I mean, before we get started, I suppose, into really picking your brain on how our viewers can get top dollar for their property, tell us about the transition, because you've done so much in real estate and in the property industry. Really what I'm interested in is what the differences are in your world as a valuer, where you've been helping banks and financial institutions and real estate agents and all these people put values on properties, and the difference between that and selling properties. Troy, give us your take on that.
So basically, with our valuation practice and our background as a valuer for banks want to know their risk profile on a property. So if they're going to lend you 65% of the property's value, they want to know what their end line game is going to be should they take possession of the property. So basically, they want us to say, what's it going to be worth in a 60-day, 90-day, 120-day selling period?
If they've got to sell it.
If they've got to sell it.
Yeah.
And if there's any intrinsic problems with the property or whatever. However, we quite often get instructed from private clients who are looking to purchase a property or wanting to sell a property and saying, okay, on the open market, what would our home be worth? Or what would our commercial building even be worth, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, okay. And Brendan, tell me, is what Troy's saying, is that how it relates to that movie, The Big Short, where we saw in America, Academy Award-winning movie just recently, where all that craziness that happened in America some years ago, and I'm told there's some danger of that here, and I don't know who's right, but that's why we've got experts here. But is that what happened there in America, where there was a certain value that consumers put on properties and banks kind of disagreed? Tell us a little bit about that.
The American market's intrinsically different to the Australian market in that people have responsibility for their property. In America, if your property goes broke, you hand back your keys.
I've heard that. You can just hand back the keys and walk away.
Walk away. Here, there's the whole bankruptcy laws, your receivership, your bad credit rating. APRA, even banking policies, banks that are actually governed by APRA now take it a lot more seriously than they did prior to the GFC. So from our point of view, we always looked for the fair market value of the property, and that's how we view our real estate agency too. It's about the fair market. It's not anything else but what the property's worth.
So hopefully, Troy, are you sort of seeing, based on what Brendan's saying, are you guys kind of seeing that us Aussie consumers are probably a little more protected than the Americans were at
Absolutely.
that time?
We're far more protected, even from the point of view that recently APRA put new lending guidelines, we say.
And that's the governing body that governs this.
Yeah, Australian Prudential Regulatory Authority. They govern what the banks can do as far as lending, yada, yada, yada. They've introduced new steps and measures for investment loans. We've all read about that in the press. Also for first home buyers. So we've got so much law and protection around us that I think we're going to bid well, and therefore our valuations for bank purposes generally reflect market value, because there is those safeguards in place.
Yeah. So I love that we've actually, for the first time ever on this show, and certainly you guys are a rarity in listing and selling real estate, because demand for your expertise was so much that it's almost like the public demanded you started selling the homes for them and not just applying your expertise as consultants. So Troy, tell us, I know people in your area have got an easy choice, right? They can just choose you guys, and if they fit your criteria, you'll choose to work with certain clients. And I know that people in the inner city of Brisbane and the surrounding suburbs, of course, they've got an easy choice. How about someone in Sydney? One of my viewers in Sydney or Melbourne or Cairns or something. How do we find the scope property of Cairns? What are some of the criteria we should be on the lookout for that would identify someone who can really walk the talk, as opposed to, like every other agent, just talk the talk?
I think first and foremost of anything is you can actually have you have an agent that's actually approachable. You can actually pick up the phone and have a decent conversation for a start, and not have that agent tell you how good he is and be all fluff and no substance. All too often do we see and we hear from people who are doing valuations for saying, oh, this agent promised us the world and delivered nothing.
Wow. And that's probably part of the reason you guys decided to finally bow to public demand and start helping consumers directly. So.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny you say that, because being in the valuation industry as long as Brendan and myself have, we'll go to a property and we meet agents all day, every day. We meet vendors all day, every day, and purchasers. And it's horrific, some of the things we've seen and heard, and the feedback we get as the dumb valuer walking in.
Wow.
It just blows us away, and we saw a real need in the market for this.
Wow. Yeah,
there was definitely a real opportunity in the market for someone who was actually going to be a straight shooter. We want to sell the property. We don't want to sell ourselves. At the end of the day, we're selling the person's greatest asset.
Yeah, Brendan, I mean, let me ask you to add to that if you could, because we've seen some agencies where, and I know you've mentioned it in some of your writing and some of your reporting, because I've done a bit of research on you guys, I love it. Tell us about how, and Troy kind of alluded to it before, about the substance and the fluff kind of thing. Tell us about what should we be on the lookout for to identify an agent that might be more interested in kind of how cool the brand looks, as opposed to being able to genuinely back it up with results?
Well, when we looked at getting into agency, we did a thing called a secret shopper. We went out, we did open homes. We actually saw what's in our marketplace, in our, for want of a better term, our farm area, the area that we work and live, and we actually put into the community. We wanted to see what these agents were doing. And
not doing.
And not doing is the major thing. Not following up, giving you second, third, fourth quality type of marketing material.
Wow.
And it's horrendous, like black and white flyers.
Wow.
Our marketing material is second to none.
So that's what they should be on the lookout for. And Troy, let me ask you about that, because you guys are renowned. You guys have other agents come and ask you how good your marketing is and how do you do that and all that sort of thing. Tell us about your opinions on why marketing is so important and what we should be on the lookout for in specifics, that if we're going to do, maybe that's a great idea from Brendan, go and mystery shop your agents that you're considering. When we do mystery shop, as the viewers might go and do to check out their agents, what should we be on the lookout for in terms of marketing?
Sure, well, people have got to remember, basically, at the end of the day, we're selling your home. So it's not to be a secret that the house is for sale. You've got to let everybody know by all means possible that the house is for sale. Some of the things you'd look for is, say for an open home, when you go to an open home, that the agent is warm and friendly in the least when you walk in.
You would have thought that's par for the course.
Oh,
mate.
no, it's definitely not. Secondly, also, the quality of the marketing material in the home, which Brendan alluded to. You know, they're selling a $750 million home with a 10-cent photocopied A4 sheet, which they've taken off realestate.com.au, running off their photocopier at work.
Wow.
And also, too, the agent should have a fair degree of follow-up.
Yeah.
Not too much. It's a fine line, actually, or you can be one extreme or the other. A lot of agents either stalk the person, or
so they're just constantly
ring,
almost harassment suits.
Yeah, harassment. Or you don't hear from them, they're the phantom.
So Brendan, what are some of the ways that agents really should be composing themselves in communication, both with buyers and sellers?
One of the reasons I got into this is we were selling a house a few years ago, one of Brisbane's leading agents. We never got a call back from her until the Wednesday about how many people had been through the opens. It's not that hard. You're paying $1 to make a phone call to let's reassure someone. It doesn't matter. It's all par for the course.
So Troy, where's that sweet spot then? Where's that sweet spot where we are sitting sweet, where we're not the stalker, that it seems like we've adopted a new family member, but we're not the phantom and we've never heard from them again? There's got to be somewhere where we're leaving no stone unturned, but we're not the newest member of the family.
Sure, I think when acting as an agent at an open home, for example, everybody that comes through, you take a short minute of their time, obviously we get their details, that's a given, to see what they're exactly looking for, their thoughts on the property, and whether basically they're interested or not. Because let's face it, people are going to be upfront a lot of the time and say, yes, we're not interested, or we are. Mm-hmm. I think also too, follow-up should be pretty quick, because at the end of the day, you might have an open home at 10:30 and there's another one around the corner that could be at 11:30. So I think, if we can follow them up within a day or two of inspection, it's definitely critical. Because we may miss that window of opportunity of them being potentially buyers of the property.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are definitely taking a different approach to what historically has been a really, the industry hasn't been looked upon as favourably as maybe some agents would like, but I love how you guys are positioning yourselves differently and doing things different. Now, one of the things you wrote about in your book that I'm really interested in your guys' opinion on is that principle that you guys called buying the listing. Brendan, first off, for the viewers, if they don't know, what is buying the listing? And we are going to have a chat about why that's, you guys describe it as one of the biggest mistakes that a seller can make is allowing an agent to buy their listing. What is it?
I've seen it time and time again through valuation. An agent will go in, they will give the vendor an unrealistic expectation about the property, and then it's conditioning.
What's conditioning?
Conditioning is after the first open for inspection saying, oh, we had a few groups through, it's looking really good. Second week, no offers. I think we've been too high. I think we're unrealistic about what we should get for the property. It's then giving the feedback. It's coming back to the original thought where you thought the property was worth, not what you told the person what it was worth.
Troy, it sounds like, do you think this is incompetence on the agent's part in that they genuinely were just being overly optimistic? Or do you think it's a system and a deception where they know exactly what they're doing by overpricing it? Which of those do you think it is?
But I think it's actually a bit of both. I think there are some agents out there who are just purely incompetent. Conversely, also, there is some deceptive conduct out there as well. Absolutely.
Wow. I mean, either way, equally unforgivable, I suppose.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So tell me, why is it dangerous? Surely, isn't it common sense that if a property is worth $800,000, can't we have a crack at $900,000? Heaven forbid, there might be an emotional buyer out there, might be willing to pay a little bit more. Why is that overly optimism? Why can't we just, if we happen to be wrong, bring it back then? What's the danger involved that you wrote about so well in your book?
The danger is basically the property's overpriced. You're going to limit your buyers for a start in the fact that they'll see the price and say, that's out of our price range. Let's not even bother looking at it. We're wasting our time.
So we never get to see that emotional buyer at all.
Never get to see the emotional buyer. Secondly, there's also a risk, or there's a fair degree of risk of basically when a property is overpriced, it'll sit on the market for some time while an agent's conditioning down, like Brendan mentioned. Then the property basically has a stigma attached. So people looking at the property going, yeah, okay, it was overpriced originally. Yeah, no, it was too expensive. And it's still on the market. Prices come down, there must be something wrong with it. What's the story with it?
We've seen it time and time again where the agents who have overpriced the property or overquoted the property get quizzed at open homes or over the phone. How long's it been on the market? You're coming back that it's been on the market for 60 days, 90 days. It's a fair indication. It's overpriced, it's becoming stigmatised, and then obviously the vendor's becoming more desperate.
Yeah, I mean, I've bought properties. It's a question I ask of agents, how long has it been on the market? And when you say to me 8 weeks, I all of a sudden feel like I'm in a position of negotiating power. Is that what you find, that the longer a property's been on the market, that price does go down because us bargain hunters, of which I'm one of them, we start to feel like we can have our bargain prices accepted?
Oh, absolutely. And I also feel it takes the sense of urgency out of a purchaser, basically. Because let's face it, with the market at present, it's competitive times. The market is doing well. People have a sense of urgency about the market. I've got to jump on this property or we'll miss out. When it's overpriced, that total sense of urgency is taken out, and the premium property or the premium price you may be able to achieve diminishes.
Yeah, right. Okay.
We see it time and time again. The price is getting ratcheted down by the conditioning process. The vendors becoming more disheartened with the whole process, and they're not meeting up.
So how should it be? How should it be done?
Originally, it should have been priced properly, and the property should be sold with a sense of urgency, a sense of getting people involved in the whole process.
Yeah, and I like how Troy, you say that when those buyers kind of see each other, that's how you guys, you guys are called smiling assassins for a reason. That you guys are getting those high prices by driving buyers up as opposed to driving sellers down.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So guys, one of the questions my viewers ask all the time is it's around the cost of transacting a property. There are some agents that look like they're going to charge a year's salary for the average Aussie for their services, and there are some that look like they'll do it for next to no money, and everywhere in between. Now I know you guys aren't the most expensive in the market, nor I know are you the cheapest, but how do my viewers tread that minefield of how much should they be paying an agent? So Troy, what are your thoughts?
Your viewers have got a wide and amazing choice of agencies out there, that agents that they could choose from. Some charging higher fees, some being discount agencies. At the end of the day, they've got to sit down, interview them and get them to justify their fee. If they can't justify the higher fee, pick the cheapest.
Yeah, okay. And so how would we justify it? Like, Brendan, what should we be on the lookout for? How would we know? Because they're all going to say they can get the highest price, all of them. They're all going to say they're going to get it done in a great time frame and make all the promises. How can we specifically get them to justify their fee?
They've got to feel comfortable who they're paying the fee to. We always suggest to our guys before they list, have a chat to the people we've sold for, people we've dealt with. We're not just selling your property. In the end of the day, we do have to sell ourselves to the vendor, and they've got to be comfortable. I'd suggest to them, just put the agent on the spot. How many references can you give? If they can't go, here's 2 dozen numbers, there's trouble.
So I suppose what you're talking about, Troy, is testimonials. You know, is that kind of the first thing we should be on the lookout for? Case studies and past results.
Absolutely, testimonials are paramount, and also case studies. Because at the end of the day, no one property is the same. So case studies are vital in how each property was sold, how the sale process went, how they did their marketing, who they targeted, the whole lot.
I'm with you that, you know, I don't want to be the first one on the surgeon's chopping block. I get it, and nor do many of the viewers. We want to know that we're dealing with an expert as opposed to, you know, the rookie of the year. Actually, that brings me to a point, and that's the amount of rookies in the industry. Brendan, mate, as professional property valuers, what sort of study did you guys have to do for your qualification that allows you the right to represent the largest asset that most Australians will ever own?
It's a 4-year degree, 2 years post-grad, and then...
Okay, so it's a university degree?
University degree, and has to be accredited with the Australian Property Institute. Right. And then it's continuing professional development.
Every year? Every
year. You're accountable for everything you do. If you don't have the professional development, if you get the valuation figures wrong, you're on the chopping block.
Yeah, it's interesting, Troy. I know we've spoken off air about how valuers are actually accountable for what they say, and real estate agents can kind of say whatever they want. There really is a difference, isn't there? Tell us about your take on that. I suppose we have to walk our talk. We have to actually know what we're talking about as opposed to just pluck figures out of the air.
As I say, as a registered valuer, you are on the chopping block. You are accountable for every figure you put out there, any advice you give, whatever. So basically you have to substantiate every single statement, every single thought process you do.
That's what I love about why you guys are so unique in the marketplace. That's why I grabbed you on this show, is because you truly are bringing... You guys couldn't buy the listing if you tried because of your background.
Absolutely not, no. At the end of the day, a valuer can be valuation is a subjective industry, mind you, although we are entirely accountable. It's one of those weird sort of industries. However, our level of justification would never allow us to basically buy a listing.
So I loved your book, guys. I love that you collaborated with those decades of experience in the property industry that you guys have both got. I love it that you put it together, a very simple read for Australian home sellers to maximise top dollar. I know we can't get you to summarise the whole book because we've only got a limited amount of time here, but Troy, what are some of the key takeaways that you write about in your book there?
There's 2 key elements, I believe, when you're wanting to list your property and sell your property. You've got to get the package of package your marketing correctly, and also presenting your property correctly.
Okay, so when you say presenting the property, give us some of the examples of some of the mistakes you've seen people make when they haven't done it right.
Simple, basic things like picking up dog poo for a start. You'd be surprised how many people don't pick up dog poo.
I've seen creepy crawlies in the pool. Are they some of the basics you mean? Where it's almost like you're leaving the house lived in rather than presented the right way.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. And also, putting dishes away, making sure your lawn's mowed, sweeping up leaves on the driveway. Just basic, simple things to show you at least care for your property.
Yeah, can't a buyer kind of see through that and know that it's going to be that if they mowed the lawn, do buyers see through those aesthetic things, or do they truly find and pay more money for a well-presented property?
It's all about, as I mentioned earlier on, stigma. If you walk up to a property and the grass is long, I don't care who you are, you're thinking, oh, hang on a minute, these people don't really care for their property. What am I going to see inside that my naked eye is not telling me right now?
I've heard about the broken window syndrome in neighbourhoods, that if you go down a neighbourhood and there are broken windows of the stores, you judge the whole neighbourhood based on that one little key element. Yeah, it's an interesting phenomena. So, and how about yourself, Brendan? What's your favourite takeaway for our viewers from the book?
I love open homes, and it's something I've done for years. Go on the weekends, go to open homes. It's I drag the kids out. They don't enjoy it as much as I do, but I absolutely love it. And it's how the good agents sell the property. They make the kids feel included when they come through. It's basically keeping them informed. It's giving them something, giving them a glass of water, giving them a bottle of water, giving the kids a lollipop, and actually letting them discover the property.
I mean, that really lends it back to your guys' marketing prowess, that at that open home there's a sense of theatre, there's a sense of marketing. I mean, tell us about, we talked about presenting the home a minute ago, Troy. Tell us about presenting the home in the media before we even get there, though.
Basically, getting your marketing package correct is critical. You've got to encapsulate that target market, whether it be print media, high quality photos, high quality video, let people discover the property, and it's a short film on the property.
Actually, I've seen some of your videos and it looks like, it literally does look like it's thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in production quality there. Tell us about the way you use video to drive buyers into those homes that you guys are selling, because it really does look like it's an expensive venture. Is it expensive as it looks?
No, not at all actually. It's really quite reasonable, and it gives the people a sense of presence of what their life may be in that home. From whether they walk in the front door or to put the keys on the rack as they walk into their kitchen, or however the property may be laid out, it gives them a real sense of as though that video or that short movie or film is their lifestyle, their potential lifestyle.
So guys, I suppose really in closing before we go, rarely on this show have we ever had, I guess, people as qualified as yourself, because normally we have the best real estate agents and those sorts of advisors. But with your guys' expertise, what's your take on that differential between, a 6-year degree, undergrad and postgrad, university qualifications, plus ongoing professional development in order to be accountable, versus a real estate agent that really can just do a 5-day course and slap on a name badge? Brendan, what's your take on that?
We're becoming more regulated as a society. Our government tends to have a big brother approach. We're probably preempting it now by being overqualified for what we're doing, but it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, okay, because that overqualification, I mean, it's for the consumer's protection, and historically, with some of the reputation the real estate agents have got, maybe it was needed a little earlier than we're seeing now.
Look, absolutely, Glenn. I think it's time we saw more qualified people in the industry. Basically, we're seeing people after 5 days getting their real estate badge, as you mentioned, getting out there, slapping on for sale signs, trying to earn people's business with no accountability, no proper structured knowledge.
Yeah, what I find interesting is they're out there, most real estate agents are out there saying they're marketers, negotiators, and really kind of trying to value properties with no valuation qualification, no marketing qualification, and very little negotiation training. I think time's come, and I'm glad you guys are leading the charge with how you guys are overqualified to do the job, where we're seeing many that are underqualified. Now I'm going to get cheeky with you now, Brendan. I know you guys spent a lot of time, and I know you guys are selling your book there on Amazon, a few places. Could I get cheeky and hit a copy up for the viewers as a freebie?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, I put them on the spot for you guys. There you go. They've said yes. That's good. Go to the link right there. Get a free copy of the book because it's worth your time. So, guys, thanks again for your time. I really appreciate it. I love the way you guys are doing real estate differently, and that's why this show exists. That's why we're here for you guys, so you can find those experts like Troy Chaplin, like Brendan Coonan. Guys, thank you so much for giving us some of your time today. Really appreciate it for our viewers, mate. So folks, that's another edition of Real Estate Experts in the Can. My massive thanks to these guys for lending us their expertise. Until next time, folks, remember, make sure you get a copy of their book, free of charge. We hit them up. There you go. Get yourself that book, have a read. It'll certainly add tens of thousands of dollars in value to your property if you are choosing to sell, no matter where you are in Australia, or even we've now got the word, we've got some international viewers. So it's great to see you guys joining us. Until next time, folks, bye for now.